Motoring 90.
Like all the collector cars that are here today, they all appreciate and value. A lot of the fellows who say if they don't get their price, they're not worried about it because next year it's just going to be worth that much more.
First of all, there's a real problem. Some people don't realize what SuperCross is all about until they actually come here. And they just keep on coming back because it's so exciting.
Motoring 90 is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
We are at the wrecking yard. Hello everybody and welcome to Motoring 90. This is the graveyard, the final resting place for cars. But believe it or not, reincarnation is alive and well here, and we're going to discover why later on. But first we're going to join Sandra Neal, who this week found herself at an auction, a car auction.
You going to shed any tears if you see this Rolls go?
I think now you have to get to the point where you're not attached to them. It's very difficult, especially for me because I get attached to them, but I'm getting better at it.
These antique and classic vehicles are heading for the auction block here at Markham Fairgrounds. You know, Markham has become synonymous with car auctions, and every year there's a weekend set aside where 300 vehicles are up for grabs.
It's hard to know what to expect when attending a public car auction. Prices can range from a few thousand to several $100,000. For the onlooker, it can be both fascinating and confusing. But for the person trying to sell his vehicle and the auctioneers who make this possible, getting the item sold is their main objective.
$5,000, at $5,000, $5, at $5,000, $5, a beautiful, beautiful car here. From my point of view, at a sale like this, the cars are reserved, but that is only to protect them from being sold ridiculously low. What we do, thanks Gordy, what we do is we bring the car onto the block, we talk to the owner, mention the good points of the car, and we auction the car, try to get as high a possible price as possible. Once that is obtained, we turn to the owner, we let him know what we have, and hopefully try to sell the car. If it does not sell right away, we have men working on the floor, ringmen, to try to get the buyer and seller together to get the deal closed and to get the car sold. That's our objective, just to sell the car. We try to move along as quickly as we can. A lot that's involved in this auction as well as any other auction is to keep the hype up, to keep things rolling, to get the bidder wars, people bidding against each other all the time, and quite often the car will sell for more than what this seller was actually expecting to get out of his car.
That's the ultimate, isn't it?
That is the ultimate. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it's a good lift. I got $22,000, $22,500, I'll give you the bag at $22,500, at $22,000, $22,500, at $22,500, $22,500, I got $22,000.
Mike, you're on your way to the auction block with your Austin Healey. What do you hope to get for this car?
About 18 grand. I guess it's all a reflection of the quality of the cars, but no, there doesn't seem to be a lot of buyers here today. But I don't know, you pay your money and you take your chances.
I got 37 up 13.7, 14,001, at 41 up 14.2, 14.3, 14.3, 14.4, at 14.4, 14.5, 14.5, 14.6, 14.6 bid 14.7, at 14.7, 14.7, 14.8, 14.8 up 14.8, 14.9, at 51 bid 52, at 52 you can run back in 51 bid 52. Go 51.
I couldn't believe how it started out so low, then all of a sudden people started to come off the anesthesia, I would call it anyways. They all just kind of got off their hands and got moving on. They realized that it was a collector car and that it was a car that, well, like all the collector cars that are here today, they all appreciate and value. A lot of the fellows who say if they don't get their price, they're not worried about it because next year it's just going to be worth that much more. A lot of the people who own a car, they have this thing in their mind, this car is worth this amount of money and not a cent less. But then when we get them up in the auction block and they see how much people are bidding on the car, they start to think, well, maybe I do have my price a little set too high. So what I try to do is talk to the seller and tell them, there's your money, do you want it or not? And if they say no, they also realize too that they may never get that amount again. And if they want to sell the car, there's your money, let's sell it. He says he's not going to give away the car because all they do is appreciate and value.
Nice looking car. We appreciate you for bringing your car out, sir. Thank you very much. You have a very nice car. Give him a round of applause for this beautiful piece of machinery, ladies and gentlemen. Nice car. Thank you, sir.
Well, it went out on the block, and I think the highest bid was about $29,000 or something like that, which was a lot less than I'd anticipated selling it for, so I'll take it home again.
Here's a 1983 DeLorean. A DeLorean. Remember for these cars here now.
At 23.5, 24, the other man's at 24,000, aluminum at 24. At 23.5, 24, again at 24. At 24, 24, 24.5, 24.5 in the front row, right Freddie. 24.5. 24.2, 24.5, 24.5. At 24.5, again at 24.5. At 24.5, 26.7, 26.8. 26.8, 26.8, 26.9, 26.9, 27,000. Roll it out slow, gentlemen. Bring on the next one. We got a couple people here on the board going to try to put this deal together. Roll your car up by the door, sir.
Help me out. Yeah, you help me. Lend me the money.
10%. 27.
The last bidder.
That's it. You help me out.
No, sir. I'm sorry. The last bidder is here to swearing.
So you're interested in buying the DeLorean?
Well, I needed a winter car. Yeah, no, definitely interested in it, yeah.
What price are we talking about? I'm not sure if you bought it exactly or...
26,900.
Excuse me, this gentleman is a proud new owner of a DeLorean at $26,900. He bought the car. It's
Terrific!
Yeah.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much.
Did you ever think you'd get a DeLorean for that price?
Well, I started out looking for a Bricklin, and if I didn't get a Bricklin, I'd buy a DeLorean, so...
Congratulations!
Thank you.
It's hard to explain, but a lot of these people got their heart and souls into these cars, but they need to sell them for other reasons. They're moving, they can't take the car with them, or they just need the money, and we're here to do the best we can to get the cars sold and try to keep everybody happy. Sold. $4,800 sold. Roll it out down. Sold. $4,800. Thank you. Bring on the next car.
Next on Motoring 90, Miata Mania. Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
This week's test drive features a truly unique vehicle. Now, not since the demise of Morris Garages has the motoring world seen anything quite like this. This is the 1990 Mazda MX-5 Miata. Now this, the skid pad, seems like a very good place to start.
Despite the Miata's diminutive dimensions, the ride and handling characteristics are very good. In fact, even when pushed to the limit through the pylons, the independent suspension retained its composure. I was also very pleased with the lack of usual body twist associated with soft tops. During the brake test, our stopping distances from 80 kilometers an hour averaged about 95 feet. The pedal is rather sensitive, and so care must be taken to ease the brakes on rather than just hit them. Well, while the Miata's no barn burner, 9.6 seconds is still darn respectable for this sort of car. Power for the Miata is supplied by a 1.6-litre 16-valve twin cam that pumps out 116 horsepower, all of which are passed to the rear wheels through a close ratio 5-speed transmission. The dash is all it should be. It's clean, uncluttered and easy to decipher. The heater controls are simple to operate, and they use the more sensible universal signs to denote designation.
Before we go out on the on-road portion of our test, I've got one last thing to do, and that is to don the obligatory flat cap.
The style and appearance of the Miata are distinctive to say the least. I was struck by the resemblance to the once proud Lotus Elan. Either by design or by accident, Mazda has stumbled and managed to recreate the ambience once reserved for the mighty MGBs. The notchy feel imparted by the short throw gear shift and the raspy exhaust drone all add to the feel of the Miata. Although the soft top is a model of simplicity to use, care must be taken not to crease the plastic rear window. Believe me, it's easy to do because I did it.
And yes, even with the Miata, I did have a pet peeve. When you pull up to the stop line, you cannot see the signals because of this very wide piece here. That problem is compounded when you've got the top up. Anyway, that aside, let's go to the scoreboard and see how I rated the rest of the 1990 Miata.
At a titch under 10 seconds to the 100k mark, the Miata is fast enough to be fun, although around town it takes more than the average number of gear shifts to stay up with traffic. I was very impressed with the handling characteristics of the Miata, and I was pleasantly surprised by the minimal amount of body twist, a problem normally associated with all soft tops. All in all, the brake system is well balanced, but as I mentioned earlier, it takes careful modulation to avoid lockup. During the test, there was no evidence of pull or fade. For a ragtop, the wind noise is minimal, and the exhaust drone a pleasure to listen to, especially with the top down. Our test Miata turned in a respectable 30 miles per gallon average, although with a lighter right foot, you will attain a better average. The sensation of fresh air ruffling one's hair is hard to beat, especially when it comes in a package as appealing as the Miata. At the moment, there's really no competition for this marvelous little car, although soon to be released is the Chevrolet Sprint and Pontiac Firefly that will come soft top.
With me now is Phil Dempsey of Dempsey Auto Parts. And Phil, we look around here and it looks like a lot of junk, but it's big business for you here, isn't it? Tell me about it.
Well, it is a big business. There's lots of money if you're in it for the money.
Some of the cars, when you look around here, they look very good. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, I think people are something around their heads. Some of the cars is better than what people are driving on the street. So I know for a few years I drove one that should have been in here.
What brings you in here, sir?
I'm looking for tires.
Why the wrecking yard?
Well, for one thing, I feel that you can probably get a better price for the product you're looking for in the wrecking yard because people usually discard things and don't realize what the true value of them are.
Well, they're worn out pretty good. Hard to say what not.
I'm a mechanic and I repair cars. So I come here, get used parts now and then.
What have you got on your shoulder and how much money do you think you're going to save here?
Oh, about 25, 30 bucks.
What would you pay in a store, a regular store?
$150, $200.
The drive shaft?
Yeah.
Axle?
Yeah, the drive shaft for a van.
So this is the place to go?
Well, I guess so. That's where you get a bargain.
I don't see any computers around here. How on earth do you find all the parts in this yard?
Right in the head. Between us all, we kind of remember each of us has a little bit in our mind, and the guys in the office, they pretty well got 90% of it, I think, because, you know, they're on the phones all day and they buy the cars, so they remember a little more than some of us do. And in the end, no matter what they are, Cadillacs, Lincolns, Mercedes, they all come to us.
Well, Phil, I'll tell you, there's one guy I know who just likes to wander around these kind of yards, and that, of course, is our resident mechanic, Bill Gardner. So let's join Bill and see what he's up to this week.
Well, you know, Brad, you're right. Quite often I've been able to find those obscure, hard-to-get parts at an auto wrecking yard. But this week, my topic is speedometers and speedometer cables. The cable is quite often the source of an annoying noise you may have heard in your car or other cars you've been in. A squeaking or chirping noise that seems to be right in behind the dash, just behind the speedometer. It's usually the top 6 to 8 inches of the cable that produces the squeak when it gets dry and requires lubrication. We're going to show you how that comes out and how it's lubricated to alleviate that annoying noise. Now, on this particular car and some pickup trucks and vans, it's fairly straightforward to get behind the dash and unclip the speedometer cable, push it through the firewall slightly, and pull it down from behind the dash. Here you can see the outer cable and the end that intersects the back of the speedometer. We're going to use a pair of needle nose to pull the inner cable out. Now, the inner cable is quite flexible, as you can see here. We can just pull it out and loop it. We're going to take it right out of the car and clean it off. Now, in order to get rid of this annoying squeak, we're going to wipe the cable clean of any old lubricant, dirt, etc. There might even be a bit of rust on it. And then we're going to apply some white lubricant to it, some white grease, because it's just the right consistency to lubricate the cable. If we were to use oil, it would run off too easily, and very soon you'd have to redo the job. On many of today's cars, you're going to find that you just can't get behind the dash to remove that cable. You may not even be able to touch it, let alone see it. In that case, you're going to take your car to a mechanic, and he's going to disconnect the cable from the transmission at the lower end and probably attach it to a tool something like this. Thread the cable right onto this tool. We've got that same white lubricant in this cartridge that we showed you earlier, and we're using a drill, a 3/8 drill in reverse to drive the cable. We've got an assistant up in the car to listen for the noise, and we're going to plug it into shop air and turn the cable in reverse to drive the speedometer. Now, our assistant is up top. He doesn't have any engine noise or wind noise to contend with. All he hears is the squeak. We keep doing this operation until the squeak goes away and the job's done. The grease has found its way all the way up the cable to the bad spot and lubricated that area that was squeaking. Next week, we're going to talk about a Honda that won't start when it's wet. Till then, I'm Bill Gardner from Motoring 90.
When Motoring 90 returns, we'll kick up some dust.
Check these tires out. Practically brand new, and you probably could get a pair for about $50, and I would think that's a big saving. All right, we're now going to join Steve Grant, and you know Steve, he's always looking for action, racing action that is. Well, he found some. It was in Toronto at the spanky new Skydome.
If this were baseball, Lloyd Moseby would be standing right about here. This is center field at Skydome here in Toronto. But this isn't baseball. I mean, after all, this is a motoring show. But after 40 tractor trailer loads full of dirt, we're ready for SuperCross.
Motocross racing enjoyed booming success during the mid-70s as Japanese manufacturers waged a technological war on two wheels, the result being the rapid sophistication of machine and driver. Well, since that time, the sport has endured a soaring Japanese yen, making for some lean times for North American racers and fans. While today the dirt bikers are enjoying a second wind, factory sponsorship is stronger than ever to develop superstars, and events like this one in Toronto draw upwards of 40,000 people a night.
Well, you know, first of all, there's a real problem. Some people don't realize what SuperCross is all about until they actually come here. And they just keep on coming back because it's so exciting. There's, you'll see the entire track. It's pretty well non-stop action from 7:30 to 10:30. It's very, very exciting.
You fly 30 feet up in the air and sometimes 60 foot, you know, down to clear another jump, and it's real rough. They build a real technical track here. It's really hard and it's physically demanding.
This is the 10th year for this event, and the appeal is obvious. Once the field spreads out, there's action everywhere, not to mention the odd spill, which can make for a very long night for the riders.
As a matter of fact, my tax accountant, I got a jacuzzi at my house, and it was tax deductible because my doctor, it is really hard on your body. Like you said, the longevity of it is about, you can get your professional license when you're 16. I'm 28 now, and I'm probably going to try to go till I'm 30, and after 30, that's about it.
Well, you got to be really flexible, and we do a lot of cycling and running, and of course riding on the machine. And it's tough on you. It's a tough sport, and you just have to be in shape and keep care of yourself.
Well, with 15 laps and with the shorter race that we're going to have, you're going to hope to get a good start and get out and ride a steady pace. And you're not going to have that much time to lay back because it's 15 laps and the track is shorter than in the United States. The track's sometimes, you know, 59 to a minute, and plus we have 20 laps. So it's going to be interesting. You know, I ran the race last year, and the other riders from the United States have not run a track, you know, as short as this one, and it's less laps.
Damon Bradshaw is the defending champion in Toronto. He's only 16, but he's far from being a rookie.
I started riding when I was 3 and started racing when I was 4, and I've been riding for Yamaha Motor Corporation for 10 years now, Yamaha USA. So I've been with Yamaha practically ever since I started, and they've brought me up and took me through everything that I guess I could go through as far as experience-wise goes, so it's been a great help.
Of course, if bikes aren't your bag, there's plenty of variety at a show like this. These off-road cars can be tricky at the best of times. Just watch how close this car comes to ruining this guy's night.
You know, you can have your motorcycles and your all-terrain vehicles, but for my money, you just can't beat the monster trucks.
Meanwhile, back on two wheels, Damon Bradshaw successfully defended his championship. Canada's Ross Peterson had to settle for second place. The only thing left to do now is get rid of this dirt.
It's called Dent Defense, and it does exactly what its name suggests. Compact and lightweight, Dent Defense fits easily into your trunk or hatchback. Just tuck the strap under your hood and begin attaching Dent Defense horizontally along the length of your car using magnetic strips. Dent Defense is not affected by heat, moisture, or the cold weather, and it comes with a 1-year warranty. This peace of mind in the parking lot can be yours for $99.95. And what does Motoring 90 think of it?
Things that bug me most about driving today is people don't pay attention to what they're doing on the road. It really bugs me.
That the fact that I'm driving and my niece is telling me which way to go, and that's her only chance she's had all day.
What bugs me about driving? Other people. I'd love to have the road to myself, but I never do.
Hi, I'm Jim Kenzie. You know what bugs me? I mean, really bugs me? Well, stay tuned to Motoring 90 to find out.
Kenzie's Corner with Jim Kenzie.
Some people call them left-lane bandits. Some people call them members of the Anti-Destination League. But I call them jerks. Guys like this guy right in front of me here. They live in the left lane like they were born there. They're cruising along at the speed limit or even a few kilometers per hour slower than that, and they refuse to move for anybody. They think they're doing the world a favor because they're obeying the speed limit. What they don't know is that people are hammering on their brakes trying to keep from running into them from the backside. What they also don't know is that they too are breaking the law, at least in Ontario. Section 126 of the Highway Act says you must travel in the rightmost lane if it's available to you. These guys sit out there sanctimoniously protecting their territory while people behind them are killing themselves and ramming into other cars with great abandon. I'm glad to see that the Ontario Provincial Police, anyway, are starting to crack down on these goofballs, because if they don't, I may have to. This is Jim Kenzie for Motoring 90.
Well, there goes an old engine, and who knows, it could be finding and purring to life in a brand new home in just a short period of time. Well, so there you go. If you're looking for a bargain on auto parts, these are the places to come to. And you know what? They even deliver. What more can you ask for? That's it for now, but we'll see you next week for more of Motoring 90.
If you have any questions or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you at Motoring 90, 379 Danforth Avenue, Toronto, Ontario, M4K 1P1. Motoring 90 is brought to you by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.